I've said before how much I love the subway. This is my neighborhood. 𝗖𝗵𝗾 subway station is our subway station, close to our house. But of course, one of the exits leads directly into the Paradise Walk shopping mall. So let's get into it. But first, this is my immediate neighborhood. We live on campus, but it's actually a lot like where we lived in 𝗪州. It's kind of a mix of family apartments and little mom and pop restaurants and bodegas. And the larger neighborhood does seem to be this mix of old style apartments and then newer high-rises all jumbled up together. When we initially moved to China, it was our idea. We didn't want to move to China and then recreate our American life. So we did intentionally not move to a big city like Shenzhen or Shanghai because we didn't want to get sucked into like a little expat bubble. As easy and comfortable as that would be, we did want to challenge ourselves to like discover a new way of life, even if that sometimes left us gasping my kingdom for a 3-ring binder. But part of what we've learned from this life, 𝗪州and otherwise, is that China has multitudes. China has lots of traditional enclaves and lots of ultra-modern areas and little pockets that look no different from New York because of globalization. Everywhere looks like New York and New York looks like everywhere, which is kind of a bummer. So we kind of, like, our intention was to escape that umbrella of globalism the best that we could. Not that I don't like being comfortable, but I want to be intentionally uncomfortable sometimes because that's what I want out of life. So the neighborhood around the subway stop happens to be our neighborhood, and it has a mix of university, hospitals, municipal buildings, and the Paradise Walk Mall. And I think it's characteristic of a Chongqing neighborhood in that it's very hilly and a mix of old construction and new construction all happening all at once. But the mall has its own gravity just because it's so damn big. It's like 4 different complexes that are each like as big as my hometown, which is only a little bit of an exaggeration. And the mall has a gravity like it's its own city. And really, what is a city but a collection of a bunch of densely packed places to buy stuff? There's even different neighborhoods in the mall. Like they have a bar street, they've got a McDonald's fast food area, they've got video game stores area, home stores, clothing stores, kids stores, toy stores. And it's a real mix culturally. Like there's a lot of American chain stores, but a lot of Korean chain stores or Japanese chain stores or Chinese chain stores or Chinese chain stores trying to look like Korean chain stores. And a surprising amount of English. And some of the English is nonsense, like there's a lot of English nonsense in 𝗪州. But Chongqing has a better quality of English nonsense and English sense. English names in 𝗪州are often nonsense, but here they're not afraid of a sweet pun, and that's awfully chocolate. And it got me wondering, like, is English being used here? When I was young in America, it was French. If a store had French on its products or French on its signage, that's like, oh, you knew it was really fancy. And it's interesting, anecdotally at least, in my experience so far, Chongqing has more and better quality, it's very judgmental, more people who can speak English at a higher level than 𝗪州in the situations we found ourselves in. So and again, comparing to my childhood, is it like when Spanish was everywhere, so like everybody had like a little bit of Spanish. Does everybody have a little bit of English? Feels like it. Back home, everyone hates/loves pumpkin spice season, but in the China Starbucks, our advertised fall drink is a peanut butter milkshake. Also, for the coming Mid-Autumn Festival, they have mooncakes, which when we bought a set, they insisted we use a coupon for 100 kwai off and gave us a free beef one as to try. So we're here at 𝗣𝗂 for lunch having a falafel wrap sandwich, which, you know, you might guess that's not Chinese food. And I didn't know about 𝗣𝗂, we just found when we moved here, but it's a national chain specializing in soups and salads and sandwiches with a Western/Thai influence, whose origin story is that a Danish guy in Shanghai wanted a sandwich and couldn't find one. Another good English name, Mr. X Werewolf's Club. What the hell's going on in there? And I'm kind of fascinated by these places, these mini chains that serve Western food, primarily because I miss Western food. I love Chinese food, but I also like to eat Western food from time to time. It turns out in some cities, Chinese people like to eat Western food from time to time. Like we had a Peter's Tex-Mex, which is another big Western-y chain, in Luzhou for 3 years. But Luzhou people don't actually want that much Western food. And the Western food they want is heavily Sinicized, whereas this seems to be doing a bustling business and is one of many options for Chongqing people to eat falafel. Maybe not falafel. A quick story to illustrate my competing desires. We lived in Lijiang for a year, and that's like a really small city that has like no Western conveniences. But the thing is, like, versus Luzhou, I could get the ingredients to make a grilled cheese, but I had to drive all around town all morning to get the ingredients to make a grilled cheese. And you might say, like, well, moving to China, why do you even want to make a grilled cheese? And my answer is, I know, but sometimes I do. A dill lemony cream sauce on a falafel, this is amazing. I've been making falafel at home is the only way I could get it, and I'm terrible at it. This is fantastic. But walking around this giant city of a mall got me thinking about what qualifies as modernization. Because everybody, Chinese and foreign, when we said we were moving from Luzhou to Chongqing, was like, good for you, you've really earned it. And it's generally agreed Chongqing is far more modern, far more comfortable, and far more convenient than Luzhou as a city is. And I'm biased towards Westernism because that's where I come from, so that immediately leaps out to me as recognizable. And so walking around the mall and seeing all these Western chains and Western style food, it made me start thinking, like, is that what I think modernism is? And is that what China's going for when they say that they're modernizing? And I think, no, I think I need to question myself. I need to examine my assumptions there. Chud, cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
It says Chuck.
Oh. There's a more than one chain of home/simple minimalist clothing store that's all around China. Even Luzhou had some outposts of these where they sell like elegant minimalist houseware and furnishings and beautiful plain t-shirts, which I love those kinds of stores. And it like makes me think of West Elm, but I think they're really patterned after Muji, which is a Japanese chain of stores. And they're so cool. I love Muji. And I love these stores. I was in one the other day and I saw these like cute little wooden fishies. And I was like, oh, what little cute wooden fish sculptures for your house. And then I thought about it for a second and I was like, they're chopstick rests, you idiot. It's not only barbecue, it's English too, I think. It was a nice reminder to check my assumptions. Not everybody's trying to be Western. And it's hard to shake that because I come from that culture, and American culture in particular has manifest destinied itself all over the world. But the actual exchange of culture in terms of modernizing is hopefully making a more interesting world. I mean, I am talking about this in context of going to the mall, so it's all buy stuff. And I don't think we can consume our way to cultural equity. Oh my goodness, where am I going? But it is like, I hope that Chongqing's not all one big mall, because I'll be very disappointed in that. I don't know, this mall has consumed me for a week. I've been thinking about it. All right, our Starbucks mooncakes. This one is sea salted caramel, which is not a traditional Chinese flavor that I've ever seen. It's good. It tastes like 1,000 calories, like a good traditional Chinese mooncake, but other than that, I don't think this is not my tradition.